Hi, I'm Jared Burris. This is week 7 for Old Testament 520. And I chose the character of Hezekiah. And I was a little bit hesitant to choose Hezekiah at first, just because, he's a king. But then, as I started reading about him, and he automatically came to mind. Honestly, that was when I started thinking about what character to do. Hezekiah was the first name that came to my mind. But as I reread through what Hezekiah did, it became apparent that he was who I needed to go for. And so, being a father myself, and obviously being the son of a father, I know how much sons look up to their fathers. And so, going back and looking at who Hezekiah's father was, who is Ahaz, who is not a role model by any stretch of the imagination. So don't ever name your child Ahaz. I'm just going to throw that out there. You guys do with it what you want. I had to share. But Hezekiah, he comes in, he's like 25 years old, He's doing his thing, and you would think that he would resort to what he knows, which would be what his father did, but he does the opposite. In fact, Scripture doesn't even name, Scripture doesn't even name his father when it lists who he's it says Hezekiah began his reign when he was 25 years old. He reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Abijah, daughter of Zechariah. And he did what was right in the sight of the Lord. Think about that. So in his first year, he cleanses the temple. Like, that's a bold move. That's like I don't know, my first move when I get to a new place is to totally eliminate, the worship service. We're just going to throw it out. We're done with it. We don't need any of these things. Like, get rid of everything in it and just have like a pulpit and pews, and that's it. Like, we don't need any of these musical instrument things. Things that you would do. It would be like getting rid of the major event in your church right off the bat. You walk in, you're like, okay, that thing that we've been doing for like 70 some odd years, we're done. We're not doing that anymore. In my church, that would be like getting rid of the chicken noodle dinner. Or VBS. VBS, for some reason, that's some big... never mind. That's another topic for another day. But, he goes and does that. Then, he starts bringing temple worship back. Now he's cleaned out the temple. It's time to put some people in there. He's polished it up. He's polishing the silver and the gold, and he's got it all laid out, ready to go. He's like, okay, boom, bring in the new kids. Bring in the kids. Let's do this thing. So they do. Well, guess what happens then? Then he does. This is my favorite Hezekiah story right here in chapter 30. Get this. Okay, so Hezekiah decides it's time to institute the Passover. We haven't done this in a long time. Let's do it. So, the priests aren't ready. Like, they have to have X number of priests cleansed and ready, and they're not. So here's what happens. If this was happening today, a Passover started technically last night, but it's today. So Passover starts, right? If this were happening in today's time frame, Passover would be moved to next month. This time next month, and that's basically what happens in this chapter, because the priests aren't ready. So Hezekiah sends some people out. And he's like, bring him in. Bring him in. Well, guess what? Nobody shows. They're like, seriously? With the Passover? Really? It's not even Passover time right now. No. So, they're like, really? So basically, a few people show up. But these people are like I don't know. I'm reminded from reading this, and I don't know everything there is to know. And some of these people are obviously Jewish, but from what I'm reading, this same picture is painted for me that we find in Luke, it's in Matthew 2, I think, but yeah, here in Luke 14. The story, the father, his son's getting married. He has this giant feast, and nobody shows up. They're like, they make all these excuses as to why they can't come, or whatever. And so he comes in and sends for like the dregs of society, and he's like, bring them in. They'll eat it. So he does, and they have this massive feast, and it's awesome. Yeah, Jesus' parable. It's good stuff. Yeah. Anyway, read that. So they come back, right? And then stuff starts happening. It starts getting really good. Suddenly, the priests and the Levites are like, we're sorry, Hezekiah. Did we know that we were supposed to do that and we didn't do it? So we're going to go ahead and do it now. Well, guess what? They're like, no. They're trying to sanctify themselves. They're trying to do what needs to be done. Here's the problem. The people weren't sanctified. They weren't cleansed right. So what do we do now? Do we start over again? No. Here's what happens. Hezekiah prays. Hezekiah in verse, let's start in 18. We'll go 30:18. It says, for a multitude of the people, many of them from Ephraim, Manasseh, Issachar, and Zebulun, had not cleansed themselves. Yet they ate the Passover otherwise than is prescribed. But Hezekiah prayed for them, saying, the good Lord pardon all who set their hearts to seek God. The Lord, the God of their ancestors, even though not in accordance with the sanctuary's rules of cleanliness. The Lord heard Hezekiah and healed the people. Then they basically have a revival. Like, this thing blows way bigger than anybody ever expected to happen. It just kind of goes, and we're talking like you know, like dropping a pebble in the water and making like the hugest splash ever, and the waves are coming up on the ocean shores. Like, it's that. It's like the butterfly effect times a million. That's what happens here. It explodes across Jerusalem. And then it does what every good revival does. It goes back to their homes. And these people go all over Judah, and they're shredding things to pieces. They're tearing down, they're cutting down Asherah poles. They're knocking out pagan things left and right, and revival is taking place. So that's awesome. We all know it doesn't last, but it's still awesome. I mean, that to me says a lot. Hezekiah goes against everything that he's learned, everything that he saw his father do, everything that everybody else has done wrong. Hezekiah says, no, we're going to do this the right way. That to me says a lot. That says, if Hezekiah can do it with an entire nation, we can too.